Sure, you can try and do flooring yourself, but in the end, it all leads back to the place you probably should have started, Carpet One. During our Don't Do It Yourself flooring sale, save 10 to 50% on select floors store-wide. Don't do it yourself. Leave it to the experts at Carpet One Floor & Home.
This is Jim Ball reporting in Springfield. I'm at Springfield Middle School where they have themselves a national champion. We're going to go inside in just a moment and meet her and find out what it's all about. So, you have a national champion on your hands.
That's correct. Ashley Gass, a 7th grade scholar here at Springfield Middle School, has been recognized as the national champion for the Daughters of the American Revolution essay contest, which they sponsor every year. I believe it's 3rd through the 8th grade across the United States. And each year, the Daughters of the American Revolution will pick a topic that children are to write about. And there's a lot of guidelines that they have to follow as in regard to length and style. But the topic this year was a colonial girl's perspective of the Stamp Act. Now, the Stamp Act was enacted by British Parliament in 1765 when we were still living under British rule. And there was a lot of outrage in the colonies over the Stamp Act because it was a tax, basically, that the British Parliament was imposing on the colonists. And so a lot of people were outraged by that. And the Daughters of the American Revolution wanted to hear the perspective of a young colonial girl regarding the Stamp Act. So that was the topic that Ashley wrote about, and she just did a superb job.
So tell me about the road to victory. She won first a local. Tell me about that.
Well, originally you go into the county, and you may win the county. And Ashley, we got news that Ashley had won the county several weeks ago. And then you go to the region, which is 9 counties, I believe, in Middle Tennessee, and we received word that Ashley won the region. Then she won the state, and it just kept happening over and over. Once you win the state, I mean, we'd never had a child win the state, so that was a tremendous accomplishment. But then you go to the region. There are 5 regions in the United States, and we're in the Southeast region, and we got word last week that Ashley had won the Southeast region. So we knew that there were 5 papers that were being judged, and so Ashley had a chance to be a national champion. And Saturday night, I got a text from Ashley's mom, Melissa Gass, who's a teacher here in Robertson County, and she said, Ashley really wants to talk to you. And I had a suspicion that something extraordinary had happened for them to call me at 9 o'clock at night. So I called Ashley, and Ashley said, Dr. Bell, I've won the nationals. And I tell you what, it was pretty special that you thought that you wanted your principal to know that. And so that was really exciting, and we had a fun moment on the phone for a few minutes. And obviously the entire school and our entire community, for that matter, and the school system are very proud of Ashley and what she's accomplished.
It is an achievement and a statement for the school district, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I believe we have the best and brightest students and scholars and young people right here in Robertson County. There's no question about it.
So Ashley, what were your thoughts when you knew for sure you had won?
I was excited and nervous because I get to go to Washington, and I'll have to read a 2-minute speech in front of a few hundred people, and that kind of makes me scared and also excited at the same time.
Well, I could say, well, you've done a great job with us, so I'm sure you're going to have no problem in Washington. Would you like to read your essay to us?
Yes, sir, I would like to.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. I remember when it all began. It was March 1765. I was 17 years old at the time and loved books and writing more than anything else in the world. I dreamed of going to school to learn to be a writer and getting my work published. It was an unrealistic dream for a girl at the time, but I was determined to make my dreams come true. My father was James Parker, a well-known printer in New Jersey and comptroller of the post office. I loved him dearly, and he was always my biggest supporter. My father came home on a cold, rainy March day in 1765. Father and Mother were talking in hushed voices about the difficulties we'll be facing. The Stamp Act, or Fatal Black Act as my father called it, received royal assent on March 22, 1765, and would take effect on November 1, 1765. I knew better than to eavesdrop, but I knew it was a significant event. I tossed and turned all night thinking how unfair it sounded. I had to know more about it. The next morning, I told Father that I overheard their conversation about the Stamp Act. I asked him to explain it to me more. He replied, "Yes, Jane, I think you're old enough." So Father told me about how all paper items will soon be taxed by the British Parliament when the Stamp Act took effect on November 1st, 1765. The tax would be on every piece of paper anyone in the colonies used. He explained it would include things like newspapers, legal documents, liquor license, contracts, calendars, and almanacs. "But Father," I exclaimed, "that's everything you print." "That's not all," he replied. "All the advertisements in my paper will be taxed 2 shillings apiece." Father explained that even though the Stamp Act would affect every colonist, it would affect the printing business the most. Father further explained that because of the tax on certificates and diplomas, the cost for me to attend the teaching seminary the next year could be too expensive for him to pay. I was devastated. For years I dreamed of a career as a writer. I knew I could become a writer with the proper training. I asked my father what I could do to help. Father said he would think about it. The next morning, Father had a plan. He said, "How would you like to write articles for my paper? I could pay you, and you can inform my readers about the situation." "I'm a girl," I exclaimed. "No one will listen to me." "You can use a man's name and mail your articles." "That's a great idea," I exclaimed. "How about the name John Smith?" I started working right away on my first article. First, I needed to know more about the Stamp Act. I learned that it was passed by the British Parliament on February 17th and received royal assent on March 22nd. The new tax would take effect on November 1st, 1765. Everybody would be affected because the Stamp Act required a stamp on every kind of paper and even on dice. The stamps were printed or embossed on paper, and then that paper had a tax on it. There would be many severe penalties for not paying the tax, and there will be no jury trials. The Stamp Act was just too harsh and unbearable. I started my first article. I knew if I got the information out, my readers would agree with me. My first article got a big reaction. Everybody started to protest. There were meetings held and demonstrations in the streets. Everybody wanted to know more. For my second article, I wrote about the theories for why the tax was being imposed. Some people believed that it was to pay the war debt from the military and the colonies. Others believed that it was to pay the war debt from the French and Indian War. Finally, some just thought it was a way for the British government to assert authority over the American colonies. My second article made people angrier than the first article. They responded by becoming violent. They even burned an effigy of a local stamp agent, as it demanded for him to quit his job and leave town. In the meantime, representatives from each of the 9 colonies met and wrote a document to proclaim their loyalty to the king and declare their belief that they, as loyal British subjects, should only be subject to tax by their own assembly as any natural-born subjects in the Kingdom of Great Britain would be. Colonial leaders called for the repeal of the Act. The following spring of 1766, the British Parliament repealed the Stamp Act. Jane's great-grandchildren jumped up and down. "Great Gammy, we didn't know you were famous. Will we hear about you in our history class?" Gammy gave him a big hug. She said, "There were thousands of people who were brave and helped make our country strong and free. I was just one of many."
Well, as you can see, Robertson County, she's very much a national champion, and I'm sure has a great future ahead of her. Be sure to tell her congratulations in comments below. I think this is not only a victory for Springfield Middle School, but even for Robertson County schools in general. Now, this has been Jim Ball reporting for Smoky Barn News in Springfield.
If you're looking for new furniture, there's no reason to drive for miles. Stuart Williams Furniture is conveniently located in the heart of Springfield on Memorial Boulevard with over 30,000 square feet of fine furnishings. We have over 90 years of experience and carry major brands like Ashley, Lazy Boy, Lane, Hillsdale, Frigidaire, and many more. Our friendly professional staff is ready to help you with all of your questions. We know the importance of finding the right price in the right wood, color, fabric, and design. We also offer financing to make your purchase a little easier on your budget. Are the kids in need of a new bed? Maybe Dad needs a new recliner to unwind after a long day. Or is it time to spring for that new flat-screen TV you've always wanted? We guarantee competitive prices, the best brand names with professional delivery and installation. So remember, at Stuart Williams, customer satisfaction is our top priority. So come see us today.